The only state that will change volume with pressure changes is.
Perfect. Gas is the correct choice. Which volcanic material can be carried long distances by wind? Well done. Ash is the right choice. Which form of matter does not take the shape of its container? Valid point. Solid is true. A fluid which obeys the Newton's law of viscosity is termed as. Nice work. You chose Newtonian fluid, and it is correct. What is the density of 20 ml of lead that has a mass of 200 d? You chose 10, and it is correct. What is the force of attraction among water particles called? You're right. Cohesion is the correct answer.
The substance that is dissolving another substance is called.
Smart pick. Solvent is the correct choice. A thixotropic fluid is likely to flow more readily when dash. Exactly. Dash stirred or shaken makes sense, and it is right choice. How does the viscosity of a polymer change with temperature? Bravo! Decreases is the answer. Normally, human beings have a total of how many chromosomes? Well reasoned. 46 chromosomes is the correct choice. This type of volcanic material often has streamlined shapes. You got it. Your choice volcanic bombs is right. What is the material called that makes liquid really thick? On track. Sodium alginate is the correct answer. Which property determines how resistant a fluid is to flow? Excellent choice. Viscosity is the right answer.
Hydrocarbons will have which type of intermolecular forces?
Great thinking. Dispersion is the right choice. The best example of a substance with low viscosity is dash. Right choice. Water is the best answer.
What is the force multiplied by a time divided by an area?
Great job. Viscosity is the accurate answer. Matter that takes the shape of its container is known as a. Well picked. Both B and C is the correct answer. What does two peaks means in the texture profile analysis? Nice selection. 2 byte is the correct and valid answer.
Which of the lists below includes all igneous type rocks?
Clear logic. Your choice basalt, granite, and obsidian is sound and 100% true. As particles are exposed to warmer temperatures, they dash. Right again. Speed up is a valid answer. Type of intermolecular force present in I2, Ber2, and Kl2. Good job. Your answer dispersion works well here. Which of the following liquids has the lowest viscosity? Solid response. Geese is a valid choice. Which of the following is the correct units for density? Po. Excellent. GPCM3 is a brilliant choice. The ability of a substance to be pulled into a thin wire. Smart move. Ductility is an accurate answer. How many liters of gasoline is sold in Canada per year? Strong choice. 43 billion liters is the right answer. What can be the opposite force to the force of gravity? Nicely done. Buoyant force is a solid answer. Liquids with very high viscosity has a dash flow rate. Correct response. Slow is the most accurate answer.
Which of the following molecules has hydrogen bonding?
Sharp thinking. F is the right choice.
The measure of a fluid's resistance to flow is called.
Correct. Viscosity is the right answer.
Compression is to rarefaction as nocturnal is to what?
Good thinking. Diurnal is the right answer. Which of the following has the highest boiling point? Clear logic. Your choice now is sound and 100% true. What bone is located just below the lumbar vertebrae? Solid response. Sacred is a valid choice.
Which of the following is a part of the water cycle?
Nice selection. All of the above is the correct and valid answer. The motion state of the particles of solid matter is. Excellent. Tidakbibas is a brilliant choice.
It is the property of materials' resistance to flow.
Excellent choice. Viscosity is the right answer. Which of the following has the most thermal energy? On track. The Pacific Ocean is the correct answer. The hardness of a food product is a measure of its. Correct response. Resistance to compression is the most accurate answer. How do you call the resistance of a liquid to flow? Exactly. Viscosity makes sense, and it is right choice. The ease with which fluids flow may be described as. Smart move. Viscosity is an accurate answer. A liquid's resistance to flow easily. Perfect. Viscosity is the correct choice. As the viscosity of a liquid increases, the liquid. Good job. Your answer pause more slowly works well here. As temperature of a liquid increases, viscosity dash. Well picked. Decreases is the correct answer. Where does water flow faster, in a stream or river? Great thinking. At the center is the right choice. As temperature increases, viscosity of liquid dash. Strong choice. Decreases is the right answer. What unit is used to measure frequency with waves? Correct. Hertz is the right answer.
What is the viscosity of air at room temperature?
Nicely done. 0.018 centipoise is a solid answer.
As temperature of a gas dash, the viscosity dash.
Well reasoned. Increases is the correct choice.
Which of these liquids has the highest viscosity?
Right choice. Honey is the best answer. The name of the turbidity measuring instrument is. Nice work. You chose turbidimeter and it is correct.
As temperature increases in a gas, viscosity dash.
Right again. Increases is a valid answer. Where are the phalanges located on the diagram? Sharp thinking. X and L is the right choice. What two types of measurements make up density? Good thinking. Mass and volume is the right answer.
Which factor affects a fluid's ability to flow?
You chose viscosity, and it is correct.
Liquids with very high viscosity flow very dash.
You got it.
Your choice slow is right.
Which noble gas has the highest boiling point?
Great job. Car is the accurate answer.
Temperature at which a solid begins to liquefy.
Smart pick. Melting point is the correct choice.
Which of the following liquids is non-viscous?
Valid point. Juice is true. A physical property can be observed with your. Well done. All of the above is the right choice.
Which unit of measurement is used for volume?
Bravo, milliliter is the answer.
The viscosity of magma dash with temperature.
You're right. Decreases is the correct answer. What is the dimensional formula of viscosity? Nicely done. Mel1T1 is a solid answer. A fluid's resistance to flow is called what? Well picked. Viscosity is the correct answer. The measure of gravity's pull on an object is? Well reasoned. Weight is the correct choice. The composition of magma determines its dash. Correct response. Viscosity is the most accurate answer. An example of a fluid with low viscosity is? Smart pick. Water is the correct choice. The best example of high viscosity would be? Great job! Shampoo is the accurate answer. The chemical property of being able to burn. Sharp thinking. Combustibility is the right choice. Centistokes is the unit to use to indicate. Clear logic. Your choice viscosity is sound and 100% true. Type of intermolecular force present in HEF. On track, H bond is the correct answer. H2S has what kind of intermolecular force? You got it. Your choice dipole-dipole is right. Moment of inertia of the disk is proved by. Perfect. Parallel axis theorem is the correct choice. The liquid portion of magma is called dash. Smart move. Melt is an accurate answer.
What bone is labeled with the letter B?
Great thinking. Pelvis is the right choice.
Which type of fluid has greater cohesion?
Right again. Viscous fluid is a valid answer. Dash are made up of solutes and solvents. Excellent. Solutions is a brilliant choice. Which of these factors affects viscosity? Exactly. Temperature makes sense and it is right choice.
What two measurements are used for density?
Nice work. You chose mass and volume, and it is correct. High silica content and lighter in color. Well done. Felsic is the right choice. What units are used to measure density? Solid response. Geek Seam 3 is a valid choice. The viscous force does not depend upon. Right choice. Velocity is the best answer. What is the unit of dynamic viscosity? You're right. Pascal seconds is the correct answer. What increases the rate of dissolving? Strong choice. Stirring the solution is the right answer. What are factors affected on viscosity? Excellent choice. Both is the right answer. Hydraulic brakes work on the basis of.
Correct. Pascal's law is the right answer. Salt water has a greater density than. Good job. Your answer, plain water, works well here. Peanut butter is an example of a dash. Bravo! High viscosity liquid is the answer. What is a sticky note an example of? Valid point. Adhesion is true. What is the measuring unit for mass? Nice selection. Grams is the correct and valid answer. Water's ability to stick to glass is. Good thinking. Adhesion is the right answer. What does Sue means from the picture? You chose fracturability, and it is correct. The substance being dissolved is the. Good job. Your answer, solute, works well here. Which state of matter is most dense? Great job. Solid is the accurate answer. Intermolecular force present in Cl2. On track. Dispersion is the correct answer. Dash which have the same compositor. Good thinking. Homogeneous is the right answer. What is the SI unit of viscosity? Great thinking. Poise is the right choice. We can measure viscosity using dash. Nice selection. All of the above is the correct and valid answer. Molecules are closest together in a. Perfect. Solid is the correct choice. A fluid's resistance to flow is its. Excellent. Viscosity is a brilliant choice. What is the curved surface called? Well reasoned. Meniscus is the correct choice. Specific gravity value of mercury? Correct. 13.6 is the right answer. What causes viscosity in liquids? Correct response. Intermolecular cohesive forces is the most accurate answer. Dash is the most viscous liquid. Nicely done. Toothpaste is a solid answer. Very small pieces in all matter. Bravo. Particles is the answer. What causes a bigger explosion? Valid point. High viscosity is true. What are the states of matter? Right choice. Gas, liquid, and solid is the best answer. Conduction is heat transfer by. Well picked. Touch is the correct answer. A liquid with a low viscosity. Exactly. Flows quickly make sense and it is right choice. The ability to be dissolved. You chose solubility, and it is correct. The most viscous liquid dash. Nice work. You chose the slower it flows and it is correct. Dash is the thinnest liquid. You got it. Your choice water is right. Toothpaste is very viscous. Smart pick. True is the correct choice. Honey has a dash viscosity. Clear logic. Your choice high is sound and 100% true. Viscous nature is high for. Strong choice. Oil is the right answer. Spherical liquid drop has. Solid response. One surface is a valid choice. Spherical soap bubble has. Sharp thinking. Two surfaces is the right choice. 1 centipoise is equal to... Right again. 1500 poise is a valid answer. Air is an example of a smart move. Gas is an accurate answer. 1 stoke is equal to... Well done. 10 for mchosec is the right choice. Resistance to flow is... Excellent choice. Viscosity is the right answer. Poise is the unit of... You're right. Viscosity is the correct answer. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. You got it. Your choice contact Narayan Changdar is right.